It was 1992. And because the Fulbright Foundation were administrating the whole thing, they wanted you to go to a university in America, stay there, you'd be doing some teaching, and you'd have an office of your own and everything. That wasn't my idea. My idea was I was getting $20,000 to come to the States for 6 months. I wanted to see the States. So, and my wife was coming with me. We had a 3-month-old baby that was coming. So we moved. They said, well, where are you going? We said, we're going everywhere. No, you can't do that. We need to get you into university. I said, well, we're flying into Seattle. Fine. So next thing I knew, I was enrolled at the UW, the University of Washington at Seattle, as a visiting fellow in the Crime and Justice Department, with my own office and everything, right?
Okay, not in literature, but in crime and justice.
Yeah, exactly. So we arrived in Seattle, got kind of acclimatized, bought ourselves a camper van, and took off. And they didn't find us again. They finally tracked me down in New York 5 months later and said, you're supposed to be giving a lecture tomorrow in Seattle. And I said, I'm flying back tomorrow, you know. So the Fulbright people were really a bit miffed at me, because I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do. I was doing what I thought Raymond Chandler, whose money it was, would have wanted me to do. I went down to La Jolla, and I saw the bungalow where he lived in his later years.
Did you eat at that restaurant by the ocean? Was it the Marine Room?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. We didn't have that much money.
Ah.
I did go to, is it John's Bar and Grill in San Francisco, where the Maltese Falcon was, it's got a kind of Maltese Falcon theme, because it's mentioned in the book.
I'm a little weak on him. At Chandler I could do.
So, I mean, I did a lot, you know, we travelled around and I saw the country, and I plotted one of the Rebus books, the Black Book. I plotted during the drive, the long drive. And we went to a bar, restaurant bar, really run-down, seedy place in, down in New Orleans. And it was an Elvis themed cafe. And so there's an Elvis themed cafe in the Black Book, which I transplanted totally to Edinburgh.
Well, it seems to me that Chandler would have wanted you to do that.
Exactly. It's like, you know, I mean, when I was back at university, I got a 3 years grant to do a PhD on Muriel Spark's novels. And 1 year in, I thought, what would Muriel Spark want me to do? Would she want me to use this money to write another really tedious thesis about her stuff? Or would she want me to try and write some books of my own? And I actually used that money to fund 2 years of novel writing. And I wrote 3 books. The first one was never ever published. It was called Summer Writes, R-I-T-E-S, and was a black comedy set in a Scottish hotel. The second one was The Flood, and the third one was Noughts and Crosses, the first Rebus book. All of those 3 were written during my time studying towards a PhD.
And did you ever complete the PhD?
Oh.
Took the money and ran, did you?
Took the money and ran.
What is the Hawthorne Fellowship that you have more recently?
The Hawthorne then is run by, I don't know if it still exists, I think I'm sure it does actually. It's run, excuse me, it's run by Mrs. Hines, Drew Hines of Hines 57 fame.
Oh, right.
A very colourful character. And she has this castle, Hawthornden Castle, south of Edinburgh, which used to be owned by, and I've forgotten his name now, some Scots poet who was a friend of Samuel Johnson's. Drummond of Hawthornden, that's his name. Forget his first name, but his surname was Drummond. Anyway, she bought this castle. You get to go there. You apply to go there, and some famous names, some big names, read your stuff and decide if you're a suitable candidate or not. And you've got your own room, and you meet all the writers, about 6 or 8 writers there, and you can stay for up to 6 weeks. You meet for breakfast, you yap, 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 yap. Then you go to your room, and there's a vow of silence during the day, and there's no TV, no phones, no radio, no newspapers. You
Almost monastic.
You work during the day in your room in this very elegant castle. Then you meet at night for dinner, and it's yep, 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 yep again. And I had a terrific time there. I was there with Alistair Gray, the eccentric Glaswegian writer, George Macbeth, the poet who's now dead, unfortunately, Alan Sillitoe, and Lisa Saint-Aubin de Terran, who was a very glamorous and elegant English writer.
And has recently published 2, well, at least one anyway, well-received novels at another. That must have been an absolutely wonderful experience.
It was phenomenal. But of course, if you got fed up, you could take the bus into Edinburgh without them knowing about it, which I did often to go for a drink, you know. They couldn't keep me away from the booze for too long. And then you'd sort of get back in time for dinner. Oh, hard day I've had. Whiskey breath coming out of them.
So as a writer, you seem to me more social than lots of writers. Many seem to regard it as kind of difficult to come out of, you know, writer persona, the sort of ivory tower and whatever it is. But I've always thought that you were one who moved easily back and forth between, you know. Well,
you know, Val McDermott will tell you this as well. We've got very similar backgrounds. A Scottish working class background, you can't get above yourself. We've got a phrase for it. We call it the "I kent your father," or "I knew your father," "I knew your father." You know, it doesn't matter how important you feel you're getting, your roots are always there, on show all the time, and everybody knows it. And you're really not allowed to kind of, you know, that ivory tower is not allowable. It's certainly not allowable when you've got two kids aged 7 and 5, you know, and a wife who slaps you down all the time as soon as she sees your head expanding for any reason whatsoever. You know, you get a good review in the paper and she says, yeah, but what do they know, you know. She tells me that my first novel, the one that was never published, best book I ever did.
Well, I really enjoyed meeting you in Edinburgh, seeing you on your home turf. As I remember, I bumped into you outside the Edinburgh Book Fair, and you had to smuggle me in as a quote journalist because I'd been too stupid to know that you needed a ticket.
Absolutely.
Which is, I think the festival is absolutely fascinating. It's under big tents.
Yeah.
And it's the same time as all the
book festival is terrific. It's in the square, which is usually the public aren't allowed into. It's like, you know, it's kind of garden, lawn, but it's cordoned off. It's got big metal, big iron rails all around it. And the only time they open it up during the year is for the book festival. And they put all these tents in, and they've got the Spiegel tent, which is a kind of very elaborate wooden structure from 1930s Germany, where you can go for a meal or a drink. Lots of authors meet up. I usually spend about, it goes on for about 2 weeks, and I usually spend about 10 days there. When I'm not doing anything, I'm just kind of mooching around, lying on the grass if the weather's good, or sitting in the tents chatting to other writers. And normally they send me a list of authors who are coming and say, is there anybody you want to interview? Which is manna from heaven. I mean, this year I couldn't do it. This year I was in Australia, so I only did 1 day at the book festival. But last year I got to interview Reginald Hill, Michael Dibdin, Francis Fifield, Val McDermott. I would have done P.D. James, but the timing was difficult on that one. You know, and every year I get to do that.
Is that because you're kind of a local son? I mean, or is it because you're a great interviewer, or why do you get all these interview offers?
You know, will work for food, probably is what it boils down to, you know.
I see.
They don't have to put me up in a hotel or anything like that, as they do with some of the interviewers who they're bringing in from outside. So they get me cheap.
Oh, you're being too modest. You have a huge following in Edinburgh. I know the day I came, I thought, you know, local son giving a lecture and so forth, and my gosh, there was absolutely standing room only in the tent. It was an enormous crowd.
I know.
Obviously.
Well, it is a home crowd, you know. You're doing something wrong if you're not getting a decent crowd at home. But I do run out of things to say. You know, when each new book comes out, I go, oh no, you know, because the launch is always in Edinburgh in a bookstore, and you see the same faces that you saw last year and the year before, and you think, I've got no new stories to tell you. Because I might have had a kind of fairly eccentric background with lots of jobs, but when I became a full-time writer in 1990, you know, I just sit and write all day. I don't have this kind of exciting lifestyle anymore. You know, between 9:30 and 2:30 I write, and after 2:30 the kids are home and I play with the kids. Before 9:30 I'm feeding the kids and getting them ready for school.
Well, maybe the trick is to get the authors who come in who tell you their stories. And
well, maybe.
I think you're a wonderful interviewer. I've seen you do it. You're also an absolutely brilliant coffee maker, she says, as you pull up your latte. Must have been that time you were in Seattle briefly. It caught off.
Yeah, we were in Seattle in '92, just about the time that Starbucks was getting started in Seattle, and so we became hooked on Starbucks coffee. And you couldn't get any strong coffee like that in the UK. I mean, coffee in Britain has been poor forever. I think some people in Britain think they're still during the war or something. They think there's a shortage somewhere. But now we're starting to get these kind of dedicated coffee places, and we're getting kind of strong blends. And, yeah, I like coming to the States and get some decent coffee.
You have to be careful. Edinburgh sort of morphed into Seattle, similar climate.
It's kind of, you know, it's kind of happening, isn't it? You go everywhere you go now. It's you know, you get the same fast food chains and you get the same clothes stores. You know, you go to Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco and you can see the same 4 shops in the corner you could see in Edinburgh or Glasgow, you know, Singapore or Sydney, Australia.
Sure, but you still really like chronicling Edinburgh as Edinburgh. I often refer to you as the, you know, as the Raymond, I know it's just a silly label, but it does say things, as the Raymond Chandler of Edinburgh. And I think, you know, you do have a passionate love for the city, and you spend a lot of time in your books writing lyrical descriptive passages, and the city is really, in many ways, is equal the main character.
I think the city is the main character in the book. I mean, it was in trying to explain the complexity of this small city to the world at large that I started writing the crime novels. And I'm still doing that. And of course trying to explain it to myself, first of all. I mean, Dead Souls is about several kind of court cases that really did happen. And the next book, which I've just finished, is about the Scots Parliament, which has just started up. And it was going to be the first book in a trilogy about the Scots Parliament, but once the Parliament got going, I realised it was only worthy of a 1-book trilogy.
Oh, really?
Oh, I think it's been a shambles. So far, it's just been appalling.